All right, welcome, future coaches. Today, we're tackling a topic that is absolutely critical for your NSCA exam bioenergetics, right out of Chapter 3. Look, understanding how the body creates and uses energy isn't just a nice to know, it's a must know if you want to pass. And in this breakdown, we're going to make sure you absolutely nail it. So, here's the game plan. We'll kick things off with the big picture of how we fuel movement. Then, we're going to zoom right in on the star of the show, a little molecule called ATP. After that, we'll meet the three energy systems, see how they play together as a team, and, this is the most important part, we'll connect all this science back to real-world training that you're definitely going to be tested on. So, have you ever really thought about this? How is it that one of your clients can pull a massive 1-rep max deadlift that's over in, 3 seconds? But that same person can go out for a jog that lasts for half an hour or more? It seems kind of weird, right? Well, the answer is hiding deep inside ourselves, and it's all about bioenergetics. The core idea here is that every single thing a client does, everything from a heavy squat to just blinking their eyes, is powered by this flow of energy in their body. And that, my friends, is what bioenergetics is all about. So, what exactly is it? Put simply, bioenergetics is all about the conversion process. It's the science of how our bodies take the chemical energy that's locked up in food, your carbs, fats, and proteins, and transform it into the mechanical energy that makes muscles contract. It's literally how your client's lunch becomes their next PR on the deadlift. Now, to really get a grip on that conversion, we have to talk about one specific, super important molecule. Honestly, it's probably the biggest star of this entire chapter, adenosine triphosphate, or as we all know it, ATP. Just think of ATP as the actual cash your body spends. The food you eat, that's like the money in your bank account. But ATP is the dollar bill you hand over to get something done. Your muscle fibers spend this ATP cash to make a contraction happen. No ATP, no movement. It's that simple, period. So how does this actually work? Check out this diagram, figure 3.1. You see how ATP has those 3 phosphate groups attached? Well, when an enzyme comes in and snaps off that last phosphate, that bond breaking unleashes this powerful burst of energy. And that energy is what directly fuels the muscle to contract. It's like a tiny explosion happening millions of times over. And this all boils down to this simple but super important reaction. See, ATP breaks down into ADP, that's adenosine diphosphate, di meaning 2, plus a stray phosphate, and in the process, it releases energy. Then our body brilliantly uses the energy from food to stick that phosphate right back on, turning ATP back into a fully charged ATP molecule. It's just this constant cycle of spending and recharging over and over again. Okay, so here's the catch. Our muscles don't actually store a whole lot of ATP. In fact, we only have enough on hand for maybe a few seconds of all-out effort. So to keep that whole cycle going, our body has these 3 different engines, you could call them, or energy systems that are constantly working to rebuild that ATP. So let's meet the team, shall we? First, we've got the phosphagen system. That's our explosive sprinter. Then there's the glycolytic system, our middle distance specialist. And finally, the oxidative system, our tireless marathon runner. Each one is a specialist with a very specific job to do. First up, the phosphagen system. This is your go-to for immediate, explosive power. We're talking a 100-meter dash, a 1-rep max lift, a box jump, that kind of stuff. It uses something called creatine phosphate that's already in the muscle to whip up new ATP instantly. It's incredibly fast and powerful, but its fuel tank is super small. It's pretty much tapped out in about 10 seconds. Next in line is the glycolytic system. This one's all about breaking down carbohydrates for fuel. And it's cool because it has 2 different speeds. When you need energy right now, think a brutal 400-meter sprint, it runs on fast glycolysis. And a byproduct of that is lactate, but you get ATP really quickly. But when the intensity is a little lower, it shifts gears to slow glycolysis and sends its fuel over to our third system for a more sustainable energy supply. And that brings us to a huge concept, one you will absolutely see on the exam, the lactate threshold, or LT. Now look at this graph. The LT is that exact point of intensity where lactate starts to build up in the blood faster than your body can clear it out. For us as coaches, the big takeaway is that smart training pushes this threshold further to the right. That means your clients can work at a higher intensity for longer before that burning sensation kicks in and they have to slow down. And finally, we have our marathoner, the oxidative system. This is your long-haul, low-intensity engine. In fact, it's the primary system fueling you right now, as you're just sitting here. The diagram shows its central hub, the Krebs cycle. What's so amazing about this system is that it can use carbs, fats, and even protein to generate just massive amounts of ATP. The only catch? It's the slowest of the three. This chart right here just drives that difference home perfectly. Look at the phosphagen and glycolytic systems. They give you a couple of ATP molecules, but they do it super fast. But the oxidative system, man, from a single molecule of fat, it can pump out over 400 ATP. The trade-off is crystal clear. You're swapping speed for incredible endurance. Okay, now here's a really common mistake that people make, so listen up. It's easy to think of these systems like light switches, one is on while the others are off. But that's not how it works at all. It's so important to understand that they are always working together, like a team. It's just that one system is taking the lead depending on what you're asking your body to do. This quote, pulled right from your textbook, is something you should probably just burn into your memory for the exam. It is the golden rule of bioenergetics. All three systems are always active. The real question is just which one is doing most of the work. And the answer to that is always determined first by the intensity and then by the duration. And this table illustrates that trade-off perfectly, what we call the inverse relationship between rate and capacity. The phosphagen system, you see it there, it has the fastest rate of ATP production, it's number one, but it has the absolute lowest capacity or total fuel in the tank. The oxidative system is the complete opposite. It's the slowest to get going, but man, it has by far the highest capacity to keep you moving. This table here puts it all into practice for you. A 6-second all-out sprint, that's the phosphagen system, no question. How about a really tough 1-minute effort? Now glycolysis is the one in the driver's seat. And pretty much anything over 3 minutes at a lower intensity, you're relying on the oxidative system as your main source of fuel. Knowing this is what lets you design super specific and effective training programs. All right, so why do we need to know all this? This is the so what part for you as a future coach. Look, understanding this science is what separates random workouts from purposeful training. It's how you create specific, predictable adaptations for your clients. And one of the most important practical concepts to come out of this is something called EPOC. You probably know it by its more common name, the afterburn effect. So after you finish a workout, your body doesn't just instantly go back to normal. It keeps using more oxygen than it does at rest to recover and get back to baseline. And that process burns extra calories long after the workout is over. These two graphs, side by side, tell the whole story. On the left, you see a pretty chill, low-intensity workout. It creates a small, short-lived EPOC. Not bad. But now, look to the right. A super short, high-intensity session creates a way bigger and much longer-lasting afterburn. This is the science that explains why high-intensity interval training, or HIIT, is so incredibly effective for fat loss. Okay, wow, we've covered a ton of ground. So let's boil it all down to the absolute must-know, non-negotiable points for your NSCA exam. Think of this as your final cheat sheet for Chapter 3. You have to master these 4 points. Number 1, ATP is the energy currency, simple. Number 2, the 3 systems, phosphagen, glycolytic, oxidative, always work together as a team, but the leader is chosen based on intensity and duration. Number 3, there's always a trade-off. The faster a system makes energy, the less of it can make in total. And number 4, high-intensity training supercharges that afterburn effect or EPOC. If you can explain these 4 ideas in your own words, you are in fantastic shape for this part of the exam. So I'll leave you with this question to really apply what you've just learned. Think about one of your clients, or a future client. What are their goals? Based on that, which energy system are you going to specifically target in their next workout, and why? Your answer to that question and being able to justify it with science is what separates a good trainer from a truly great one.